first things first, we could take a look at what actually is in the Stride deck set real quick, just so we can remember like what is actually in the deck set. So the crest itself has that end of turn effect on GB2, so basically after you first stride, that as long as you've sent 2 cards to soul this turn from anywhere, then you may draw 1. So I like the crest because it's already a plus, which I think is pretty good.
Yeah.
And then the ride line is like typical. The grade 2 is same as Columbard, where it's like when you ride over it, soul boss 1 look at top 7, 1 normal unit that is in the PG goes to hand, the other one goes to soul instead of drop. And then the only unique cards, I guess we knew quite a few unique cards. We knew about the cutie paratrooper. Does the crest have any GB lock? Well, the crest's the end of turn effect is GB2, yeah, so that is technically a GB locked part of the effect.
But when you follow the first stride, then it will always be GB2 when your stride comes off.
Yeah, exactly. So paratrooper is basically when called outside of battle phase. So basically if called in main phase for the most part, or ride phase, I guess. Yo, Dexaway, thanks for the 39 months of Prime. Happy Howdy Day. That's right. Today is the day. Like I never really know too much about Pale Moon. For some reason I know more about Grand Blue than Pale Moon, even though I think I played Pale Moon more in my time playing Vanguard. But
I mean, a lot of people say that this clan, like, no one plays it, and then everyone plays Night Rose. So
yeah,
Night Rose is the clan itself.
Yeah, that's basically how it is. When people say they play Pale Moon, they mean they play Lukier.
Yeah,
people say they play Grand Blue, that means they play Night Rose. But yeah, so paratrooper is when placed either, I mean, basically ride phase, main phase. If you have a Harri Vanguard, so she doesn't work with just the crest, you can put a different rear to soul and then choose a card from soul that is different from the one you put to soul for this effect and call it, and then end of turn it goes back. So it's like basically trapezist, just restricted to not being in battle phase and restricted to also putting the thing back to soul. But considering what the crest does, you want that. The assistant, I feel like it's kind of like a whatever card. It's like when placed from hand on rear, if you have a Harri crest, you soul charge 2. Personally, I feel like this is a card that you can probably cut, which is kind of like, I guess the Night Rose one also had like the ghosty that's kind of like just, you know, worse.
But that's like a Philander light, right?
Yeah, exactly. Just like a Philander replacement. This one I'm not really sure what she's supposed to be replacing.
It's hard because like a lot of Harry's stuff is selective soul charge.
Yeah,
and
right.
That's what you want to capitalize on.
Yeah, so I'm not too big on that. And then the ride line's like when she's placed on rear from soul, she gets 5k for the turn, and when you ride over her, she does the search from top 7. The Masquerade Bunny is the stride fodder / as long as you have the Harri crest. It's kind of surprising, like the deck search relies on you having the Harri crest, so in premium it's kind of annoying. But she searches for a Harri grade 3 from deck or drop, so it's the same as the Steam Breath. Then,
did Tommy have a crest restriction?
I think so. I think they all have the same. Yeah, okay. This has the crest restriction too.
I see.
Do you two feel that Bushy decided to cut back on the strength of these decks? A little bit, yes. I do think they're not as like insane as Shirumi. So Orneta, this one, she's when placed from hand on rear, if you have a Harri crest, look at top 5, put 1 to soul, shuffle your deck, and when she's put the Guardian Circle, if you have a Harri crest, you may soul charge 1. It's not bad. It's like deck thin. It doesn't cost anything.
I think it's a pretty decent card.
Yeah, I guess, like you can also.
Itself doesn't actually soul charge much.
As long as you call her with something like the Paratrooper, she can go back to soul and then just like keep spamming her. Oh, but she has to be placed from hand. Never mind. So that's the annoying part.
Damn.
Yeah, it's actually pretty sad.
Yeah, because if she was just placed, then yeah, happy days.
Then we have the Manticore. So this thing says if you have a Harri Vanguard, it gets the following. First one is a Magi effect, which is end of battle attacked. If this battle phase, you have not called anything from soul yet, then you get the CB1 and put this to soul to choose a card from your soul that is different name from this and call it to rear, and if turn it goes back to soul. So this is like the good effect. This is like your 6 attack enabler, not 7, because you know he only works on his own first attack. So it's also 4 attacks on first stride, which is pretty important. And it's also good that the press scaling happens in main phase in this deck too, because of the Lunatic. But the other effect from this guy is when you addition for stride, you draw 1.
Staple 4 of in Harry.
Yeah, this one's
no question
definitely.
about it.
This one I can't imagine not playing for. Then Lunatic is your first stride. It's basically the same as Obadiah. You flip a G unit, and then look at top 5, put 1 to soul, shuffle your deck, and after that choose a card from soul, and then call it to rear. End of turn, it goes back to soul. So he's free. Main phase scaling is also nice. And
the fact that it's free is always good because like a lot of your stuff is locked behind CB in this deck.
yeah, we basically have these, and then we have the 2 cards from today's stream. So I guess we can go over those 2 and then like talk about initial thoughts about everything. So the Dancing Princess is essentially just a like she goes to soul after she attacks as an optional effect, and then whenever she's placed from soul to rear, she is a 20k attacker / 25k once you have 2 or more face-up G units. So, I mean, basically, as long as you don't call her from Harry's Stride skill, she will be plus 15. Just don't call her from soul before you use Lunatic's flip. Oh no, but she has to have 2 or more face-up G units, so never mind.
Yeah,
on
so
first stride, you
work
won't
on
get the
first
15k.
stride. Yeah, but she'll be base 25, base 35 on second stride, which is pretty nuts.
Yeah, I guess when you think about the, like, you know, crest scaling, it's technically 15 on first stride.
Like, I think if I have to relate back to what I played on the weekend, like the power scaling for this is very similar to Rising Dragon in Lukia on a Persona ride, which is like pretty annoying numbers, especially if you hit like a, I don't know, let's just say if you do run fronts, you hit a front and that's like what, 53 with a booster, and that's like insanely hard to go.
Basically like confirmed hit or PG.
Yeah,
or not PG, but I guess it's pretty annoying. It's like 20k, it's like 3 15s basically. It's like 55.
Yeah, 3 card guard, which is pretty gross.
Yeah, replace her with upstream. Yeah, we can actually play upstream in this.
That is correct. Yes.
And then we have the actual Harri Stride. I mean, Harri Stride itself is very good. Like CB1, put 2 in soul, enables the Desire Devils, which is really good. And then you call 2 different names, not grade restricted, unlike Night Rose, which is nice. And then you choose 2 of your opponent's rears and soul them in, which is like very nice that it has that removal effect that's stayed on. It's not because what the original was like on hit or something.
The card itself is better applied in premium, but it's still very good for standard.
What, this card?
Yes, this card is ridiculous in premium.
Oh, because you can copy the effect?
No leaks.
Damn. Okay. Hold up.
Yes.
Oh yeah, Dark Side or Dark Lord Princess or whatever her name is can copy this, right?
Yes.
Nagia.
Yes.
Damn.
Yes.
Cooking already, frame 0.
Yes.
So that was that. So I guess like your initial thoughts about the general new cards in general.
So I think a lot of what the deck has to focus on is selective soul charging. Obviously, your ride line when you ride to Harry, you top 7 search for 2, right? So 1 into hand, 1 into soul. And then your grade 2 top 7 or top 5 chuck 1. But the only bad thing is that I think there's a lot of blind soul charging, which kind of like counteracts the selective soul charging. So I'm not too sure like how that application will work. But I guess one thing is you want to be able to get a big enough soul, probably like 10 plus, to be able to like utilize a lot of like the tech cards that you can tech in this deck. Like, there's like a grade 2 back in like set 1 or set 2 where it's like after battle, if you have like 10 or more soul, you can chuck into soul to countercharge 1.
Oh, engraver? Selfish engraver.
Yeah. Whatever that card is.
Yeah.
So you want to make it so that your soul is fat, but like your only ways of soul charging is like the Daffodil here. I guess your ride line, Harry's on stride. But that's pretty much it. And then you get like 1 off Lunatic or whatever. But I'm not too sure how, I guess, consistent that might be. But overall, I think like the deck itself, if you give this to a starter, like they'll have a lot of fun with it because you know there's a lot of moving parts.
Yeah.
And I think the best card revealed in this deck is probably Paratrooper. I think that card is pretty ridiculous.
Oh, even with like the non-battle phase restriction?
Yeah. Just because like you can cycle through like Darkside Princess, and the later the game goes, the more impossible Darkside Princess becomes in terms of guarding.
True. She's just like a big attacker.
You get like 2 Darkside Princess attacks off before your Vanguard swings, because you have like Darkside Princess, then Manticore, then Princess, and then Harri into Princess. So
yeah, and then you can just like do Harri Stride. But you can't like Harri effect call Paratrooper and Princess because Paratrooper doesn't work in battle phase.
Yeah, correct.
Smart.
But you still call just Princess alone.
Yeah, and then like something else basically.
Yeah.
Cool. People are saying Brick Gardener for CC. I'm not sure what the card that is. But I guess we can boot up on deck log and take a look. So I think I did premium last time, I think, and then just like added in the old cards as replacements. So I guess first let me fill it up with Harri stuff. So we just assume like full ride deck already. How many of the main deck Harri are we playing in this deck?
You'll play 2 main deck Harri and then 2 Masquerade Bunny, just like every other deck.
Okay. To just split.
Yeah. And then I guess like pretty much how I would build my decks would be like, just think of all of the non-cuttable cards first. So it would be, I think 3 Darkside Princess is uncuttable, 4 Paratroopers uncuttable, PG and Elementaris uncuttable.
Yeah.
4 Manticore.
Now we think of a replacement for the Manticore. Do we have any? Did Harri have any Manticores? Had the Flying Periton, I guess.
Yeah, but Manticore was a grade 3 back then.
Yeah, true. We'll use the Magia doll Lunatic as the replacement for the. Oh, but it's a grade 3, the current one, no? The current.
Yeah, it's a grade 3.
Let's find it's a grade 3 Manticore we could use. Alice, true. It literally is Alice. Wait,
yeah, pretty much Alice. Yeah, just use Alice. Or just use the Manticore, whatever. Yeah, there you go.
And then just put PGs in for now.
Yep.
We can fill up the easy staples first.
Yep.
And then triggers. What trigger lineup are you thinking of? Fronts?
I think fronts, because this deck generates enough advantage and you barely commit stuff from your hand to the field anyways.
True.
Yeah, and Darkside Princess is a you may put into soul. So you can keep on the field if you want to use the Harri Stride to,
Yeah. What OT are you thinking?
I guess it really depends on like how aggressive the meta is. I think if you're going, I guess the benchmark would be Shiryu Doji, right? Then you would want probably purple or blue. I think.
Yeah, that's what I was putting over.
I mean, purple is annoying because like it kind of contradicts your attack pattern.
Yeah, right. Because you're gonna call 2 things and then it's like call another thing. You don't want to like squash anything either.
Yeah. So maybe red's good.
Yeah, red I think could actually be pretty red could be quite annoying. It's very win more, but it is definitely like you put this on the dark side, or like the non-dark side, I guess, like the smaller attack.
Yeah. But I think Harri in itself, you don't have to win straight away. I think the deck can turtle out and just be absolutely unguardable later on.
Yeah.
So you would play something like purple, blue OT. I think those would be the only 2 I would probably consider.
I thought blue's pretty
Yellow's
good.
a bit situational. I don't think yellow is great.
Yeah. I think blue is pretty safe as well. Yeah, especially, I guess we can change this later, but especially if you're playing some of like the Desire Devils and whatnot, it's like your other flex slots.
Yes.
Yeah, sure. I guess compared to Night Rose, you don't have like the infinite stride fodder recursion.
But I guess the one good thing with purple is that it allows you to play one extra turn because you heal down.
Yeah.
So if you heal down, let's just say in the mid game from 3 to 2, then you get technically an extra turn.
That's true.
Yeah, because you don't have to go through guarding. And with the amount of like power this deck gets, 6 attacks, like your opponent's hand is like pretty low after they go through your second stride, so they can't really perform a full turn. So like if you hit the purple OT, you just suddenly just win the game.
Sounds like you want the purple OT in there.
Yeah, I would rather purple OT over blue.
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds fair.
Just because it's a heal.
So far we've got basically our triggers set, our PG set, and then Paratrooper and the... I guess I'll put the old Manticore. It's a bit easier to tell what card it is.
Yeah.
I'll put the... Oops. We'll put the Flying Manticore instead. So this is definitely a 4 of.
Yeah, for sure. I guess it's for sure 3. The last slot can be kind of like whatever. The one slot for Manticore you could swap for like Nocturcio. You could add in other tech slots later, but we'll discuss that a little bit later.
Yeah, I forgot about Darkside Princess. That's also like a very important 4 of as well.
Yep, for sure.
All right.
Okay, so that's pretty much the outline of the deck so far. How many is that?
36 out of 50.
14 slots, which is actually pretty old. Yeah, it's pretty flexible, I guess.
It's like there's more important cards in this one, I think, and also because like unlike Granblue, you're not just like, Granblue just by playing the game automatically builds up a drop zone, whereas like, you don't automatically build up a soul just from playing a game of Vanguard. So
yeah, correct.
I guess the big question is always, are we playing upstream?
So, well, first of all, what is upstream pairing with? That's the magical question, right? Because you have to call a grade 1 to the back row. So what applicable grade 1s would it work with? I guess you can use like clockwise maybe.
But
I'm
like just realizing it probably doesn't show upstream on deck log because it's a... Oh, is it not going to show it? But we're building because I selected Pale Moon, it's probably not going to show it. Lamau.
Oh, I guess you can... Oh, okay, well, okay. I just thought of something like pretty crazy, right?
Okay.
So if you're playing upstream, you play 2 of, right? Because obviously your deck is a tutor deck. So if you can go upstream into your 1 copy of Gorman, it's pretty good. But I think Gorman is counterproductive because your deck is already fessing out powers over 2 cards worth of guard.
Oh yeah, so like even if you commit the CB for the 2-card guard, it's not like you're necessarily...
Yeah. And your deck is already like super CB heavy, so I don't think... Yeah.
What about clockwise? I feel like having the... we don't have anything using energy in the deck yet. And I feel like clockwise is pretty good just for like late game. Clockwise and Jet is like insane.
And if you place it, you soul charge 1.
Yeah, so it's also an early game tool, right?
Yep. So it's an early commit 10k that doesn't really matter if you sit it in the bin. And you're like pretty happy to just commit it in the early game because like if you ditch say Manticore, draw 1, EB3, like put the Manticore back and then you have an extender. So that's pretty good. I was thinking, I don't think it's worth it of playing Bifrons, but I think Bifrons eats up too much CB, which doesn't really make the deck work.
Yeah. She's also from hand, which is kind of annoying, so we're not calling her from soul. Or if you play upstream, you can't call her from deck either.
Depending on like how tight our engine slots are, you could potentially play the 4-color clockwise upstream engine, but I think that's a lot of slots.
Yeah, I think the nice thing about the grade 1s is that, if you do have something that uses 3 energy every turn, like in Nairos is a bit easier, I guess, but in this deck it's a bit tough to like actually enable Forcolor consistently.
Yeah. Yep.
So that I'm a little bit sus about. I think the two things that I think are worth to also talk about are Showered Applause.
Yes, Showered Applause is a must. I think Showered Applause and Steam Performer Togue means that you can put any grade 3s into Soul at any point in the game.
Which means you can also play lesser copies too.
Yes, so you can, like, that's why I said you can run 3 Manticore and have 1 Showered Applause, then you can play 1 Togue, because the Togue then represents any of your grade 3s as an extra copy.
Right. Would you max out the Togue then?
I don't think you max Togue, because it's just a slot that would essentially consider as another grade 3. Right. So you don't, so like let's just say it's your 4th copy of Manticore, it's your 2nd copy of Showered Applause. I don't think Nocturcio is needed in this deck.
Oh yeah, I was gonna ask, because it is a way to get back to Stride Fodder for the Harri turns as well.
Yeah, but then again, Nocturcio allows you to get
Soul
to the Soul requirement.
Yeah, and it gets you, it refunds you your pieces as well.
Yes. But if you're playing Showered Applause Dragon, I think you would play it at 1. And you would fit 1 Nocturcio, because then the Togue can find Showered Applause as your 2nd copy. Because you don't always need Showered Applause, right? It's a nicer card to have to fill up your Soul. So yeah, you would play like 1 Nocturcio, 1 Showered Applause, 1 Togue.
1 Togue?
Yeah, you would only play 1 Togue.
And then
I wouldn't play more than that.
Manticore down to 3 then?
It's just an extra copy of all your other grade 3s. So you keep... I don't know if you play 4 Manticore, maybe you can play 3, but I guess it depends on like what other slots we're putting in, right?
Yeah, I mean, we're already... I still have the Clockwise here as a 1 of. I feel like you probably do want it. I personally feel like it has very good synergy with the deck.
But definitely more than 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Because it's an on-place that isn't restricted by playing from hand.
The only thing is that your Vanguard's grade has to be less than your or equal to your opponent. So on Stride turns, you're not going to be able to proc this effect. But I guess if you're blind going 2nd, you'll be able to still use it until you Stride, I guess.
I would for sure put in 1 of the CC Cat Almethist. It's the one that returns 2 of your ride line back, and then you can on-demand countercharge. Yeah, because
your ride line gets soul charged. I mean, soul blasted pretty early on.
Yeah, and I guess like if you need countercharge, then great. It's just a searchable card. Then that means you have to run upstream. So I think you're happy to run 2 to 3 upstream, but I don't know how that would conflict with the deck, because ideally you would want to... Oh, I guess it will work, because then you can go upstream, call the cat in the back row, then Manticore calls Princess. Yeah?
Yeah.
I guess that'll work.
I suppose so, yeah.
So you would definitely put in upstream, like 2 upstream.
Yeah, upstream sounds pretty good. Sadly, because I chose Pale Moon as the premium client, I'm gonna have to choose some random other... Let me find some irrelevant grade 2 steampunk dragon that we can put in here. Oh
yeah, relevant. That's right, yeah.
Turn Fracture.
Yeah, just put that gear dragon.
Yeah,
that you had. Yeah.
Do we want countercharge? Because we are... So one thing is we're CBing a fair bit. And also this, like looking at how many different grade 3s we're playing, I already feel like Forbidol is a must.
Yes, I think Forbidol is a really good Regalis piece for this deck.
Yeah, right. It's like...
Yeah, for sure.
It's kind of the same argument as Night Rose, I guess, but...
Yeah. I guess here you have more targets, right? You have your 1 Nocturcio, you have your 1 Showered Applause, Manticore, obviously.
This deck feels like it has way less space compared to Night Rose, though. Like, we're already down to 5 cards remaining, and then it's like there's you know, people saying like
usually
Rock.
like
Vade Rock is also pretty interesting. That's like the Blangmeyer grade 2.
Yes, Vanguard.
Yeah, that thing's like CB, like Soul Charge 1 on call, then CB1 call a different name from itself from Soul, and then if you don't have Blangmeyer Vanguard, it goes back to Soul. So
let me have a look. Yeah, because I remember that card being pretty cracked.
It does have like a random generic effect slapped on it.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, it's pretty much like Periton Light. Soul Charge 1, Catalyst 1, Core 1.
The CB might be too much.
But CB heavy, I think.
Yeah.
That was hard. Well, I guess I don't really want to expend CB for the early game. That kind of sucks. Because
your thing is, when you have to think about it, right? Your CB1 for Harry call, CB1 for Manticore call, almost every turn. Like,
yeah,
if you're
CB2
building yeah, you're basically CB2ing every turn. It sounds pretty tough.
Yeah. I would probably put in what's her name called? Oh, she was from set 1. Let me
stop saying Jet Order. You need Jet Crest for the Jet Order. Chat! CB3 and Harri Stride? Yeah, I don't think you're realistically being given that much CB. Self-G-River.
So you need a way to effectively countercharge, which I guess upstream is your mode of countercharging.
Well, let me read this card.
Selfish Engraver. That's her name. Yeah.
Oh shit. Brilliant Gunfire Colossus.
Brilliant Gunfire Colossus.
Oh. Lol. It's when placed on rear by Vanguard's ability, CB1, draw 1, get 5 for the turn, and when his attack hits a Vanguard, if you have grade 4 or greater Vanguard, CC1.
This unit attack hits a Vanguard though.
Yeah, it has to hit a Vanguard. So it seems a bit.
I mean, it's nice, but
the fact that this works with Harry is funny, I guess. But there's no way it hits. Unless you're playing for the mind games.
Man, if I wanted CC on demand, I would run Selfish Engraver. I think that card is pretty cracked.
My only question is, will you be building Soul enough? Because, like, you have to keep in mind your ride line Soul Blast 1, and then, so let's say you CC, you Soul Charge 1 every turn from Harry, and then, let's say Clockwise gets you a Soul here and there. But then, the other things that build Souls, like Manticore, technically builds a Soul, he goes to Soul, and then the thing he calls out goes back, so technically it does give a Soul.
Yeah.
So I'm a little bit concerned about getting to 10.
Yeah.
You probably want to play like more. You'd have to like really lean into Nocturgio and Showered Applause, and that starts to make Nocturgio seem weird because it's also CB1, so you'd be just playing it for the discard, which in this case it's like, well, might as well just play Tizcar instead then.
I think Tizcar is pretty good.
We don't really have much energy outside of Clockwise right now, so it's like, might as well.
Yeah, I am still not sure on upstream.
Yeah, I feel like it's cute, but the grade ones that you're calling from upstream aren't that great. Like, you don't get to activate like Paratrooper.
Yeah.
And like, it's cool that you get to tech a bunch of grade 1s, but what is this Brick Gardener? Let me.
Yeah, Brick Gardener is when it's put into Soul from rearguard, you can bind it and CC1. But if you're doing that, you might as well use Selfish Engraver because, well, I guess it has 2 applications. The Brick Gardener is a non-attacker. That's like the only thing I could probably think of.
Yeah, this guy's being put from rear to Soul,
so it's like not applicable in the early game.
So this thing only works basically from like end phase when it's put back by a Magia effect, or when it's put into Soul by Harry's effect. Yeah, if you play upstream, I think you probably want to play one of this.
If you play upstream, you can play one.
Yeah, but that's the question is if we play upstream.
Yeah, but I think one upstream is okay because it's a tech, right? Because you only need it when you need to tutor out stuff. Because then that means you have 2 options of CC, plus if you run 1 engraver or 2 engravers or whatever.
But we're not
So
searching the deck that aggressively to be able to find a one of.
yeah, but that's what I'm saying. You don't need to. It's not a must. It's a nice to have, right? Because I mean, if you look at all the slots in this deck, like your main engine is Manticore, Princess, Paratrooper, right? All your other cards fuel for that engine, yeah. So pretty much your Shout Applause will get you your soul over time if you obviously call it whatever. Nocturcio is the same. You get your soul for your Engraver, right? Your upstream then tutors your Amethyst, your Brick Gardener, and then so you just have like all of these cards pretty much playing like tutors to get your CC or your utility, right? Because your engine's already there.
What I was thinking about is Harri Stride calls two things, and right now our best attacker from those two things is Dark Side. But I feel like the other best attacker is basically Showered Applause, because this thing is actually 23k body.
Yeah, 23 plus
crest, etc.
G-Zone crest stuff. So I see chat's been asking about Jovial Juggler. Jovial Juggler only works if you place it from Soul from your Vanguard's actability, which only works on what's it? Lunatech. So it doesn't really work.
Yeah, it doesn't really do that much for this thing.
Yeah. Falcratia is a nice card to be big, I guess. But I don't know like how often your bin will be to, I guess, put stuff in.
Oh yeah, any dual nations that we want to play?
There were two, right?
We have the Dragon Empire one and the Brancate one.
I think both of them are CB heavy, right?
Yeah, so the first one, the Brancate one can look at, but it needs stuff in Order Zone, so that's kind of anti-synergistic.
Yeah.
Port Revaltus
so it's
is
like check one.
So Port Revaltus isn't bad because it's like on play, Soul Charge 1, get 5k, and then CB1 for like either removal or call something from Soul.
Yeah. So if you were to play the Vagrock Dragon, you might as well play Fortivertus. Because it gains +5, essentially. So in the early game, it's a 23k attacker. The only caveat to that is that Vagrock returns the card back to Soul.
The dual nations have to be played from hand. That's also annoying.
Yeah, so it's not great. So if anything, so then Vagrock Dragon is probably more applicable. Yeah. So what do we have in here? Do we did you put in whatchamacallit? Selfish Engraver yet?
No, how many engravers do you want?
Just one.
Damn. So many one-ofs. In a deck that doesn't really...
If you saw my Manila list, there were a lot of one-offs. Like even the deck that I played for World Invitational and for Worlds, I played like a bunch of one-offs. But that's because like the deck heavily soul charged. I don't know how applicable that is in this particular deck.
Yeah. But I guess even Premium Harry doesn't have like that kind of like deck search, put stuff to soul kind of, right?
Yeah. With the cards in your soul, Paratrooper also becomes one of those cards. Well, it gets you one of those cards. So you're essentially playing 5 copies of all your one-offs if that card lands in soul.
Yeah.
But I wonder if you do have to play the Dieful Doll that top 5 searches. Then you do.
Yeah, I feel like you don't see your stuff enough.
Yeah.
So we can just replace.
But I mean, like even with the deck I played for the World Invitational, like it was just all crits, so there were no active ways to be able to like find your stuff. Because all I relied on was the Soul Charge on Harry to get your crits, and then the crits draw me stuff. But obviously we don't have that crit.
Yeah, I don't know if like I feel like with Night Rose, being able to play low ratios felt pretty realistic, but with this I'm a little bit doubtful.
I think
either you lean heavy into upstream and then go into the techie one like grade 1s, or like you lean more into Togue and then rely more on your Creed 3s. Like, I personally feel like I'd rather play more than one Showered Applause. Because actually, it builds soul. So it also gets us back our, like, so for example, like if we do, I guess most stuff is going back to soul, so we're not really losing pieces much.
Okay. So hear me out. So you drop Manticore to 3 and then you put Showered Applause to 2, then that way you see it more often and Toad becomes your third Showered Applause. I think that's okay.
Toad becomes your third Showered Applause, I see, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So then I think Clockwise and Tiskar are counterproductive against each other. Like you have one or the other, but you can't have both. And I think Tiskar in the early game, to be able to dig for pieces is way more valuable because you're essentially going through your deck, right? So if you ditch Tiskar, then that means you're drawing more into your one-offs and you're happily, you know, ditching your one-offs into the bin so that you can put it into Soul with Showered Applause and Nocturcio.
True. So I guess how many Tiskars do you want to play then?
So
you Clockwise to loop Harri Stride Fodder. Yeah, that is a good point. You don't actually have another. You have no other way to get back Harry to hand, right?
Masquerade Bunny.
That's just a 2 of. But I guess.
So maybe you do drop Paratrooper to 3.
Yeah, I've seen people say that like maybe.
Yeah, maybe 4's too much.
Play her as 3 of.
Yeah, so maybe you drop Paratrooper by 1, increase Tiskar by 1. I'm still unsure of 4 Direful Doll, the Ginny slot.
Oh yeah, they look great too.
Yeah. I don't know.
She's something you can also commit early. From what I remember, she doesn't.
I think committing just like bashing 10 and 10 is good.
Yeah, she's just a great 2, and then she has a Guardian effect to like give you a soul charge too, so you can just like chuck her out.
Yes, and I think that's really good. So I think playing her as your early game engine is pretty good. I think I like that. I guess the question would be will that get you enough soul?
Yeah.
Yeah. Fairly
just run
sure.
both Clockwise and Tiskar and run 4 color. I mean, it's like if you're really just digging for pieces, it's fine, but
yeah.
4 color is kind of awkward in this deck, though.
I don't know if 2 upstream is right. I'm a bit sus on that.
Upstream
if
is a
anything,
bit
I've
sus.
got 1 upstream.
1 upstream?
Yeah.
Damn.
And then you put the second upstream slot into Tiskar. I really like Tiskar, I think.
Yeah, I think Tiskar is good.
Yeah, and if you build energy right, say you're not using the energy for anything, you just ditch double Tiskar and then you just draw 2 into all your pieces that you've ever wanted.
I suppose, yeah.
I don't know. I think the slots are pretty tight in this deck.
Yeah, but also like reassessing all the 1-ups. It's like Togue, very important. Good.
Yes, I think Togue is really good.
Nocturcio is a bit sus.
Yeah. I guess Nocturcio plays the same role as Showered Applause.
Yeah, Showered Applause gets power too.
Yes. And Nocturcio is a CB1. So maybe you want to get rid of Nocturcio.
Yeah.
You free up that 1 slot for like Tiskar.
Just run Tiskar 4 here.
Yeah, because
the
idea of Nocturcio is to draw, right? To draw into your pieces. So then Tiskar also does that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do think Nocturcio was worth considering, but it's...
Yeah.
You just CB way too much in this deck. Like, literally just Manticore and Harry. Like, there probably will be some turns that you don't CB for Harry, but...
yeah, which is
fine. But it's your only way to fill
that.
board, because you want to go Harry into something, or like into Paratrooper reset something.
Yeah.
Is
I don't
1
know
clockwise
about
enough?
1 clockwise, though.
Yeah.
Is it good?
I think getting back your Stride fodder is pretty nice.
Yeah, but how often will you see that for that card to be worth it? Oh, I guess if you're playing... Oh, yeah, but you have to find it off upstream, right?
I'm still not too sure about the upstream. It's cute, but our targets are pretty bad.
Yeah.
It's like... It's
literally the cat.
It's
So
like
which is why I'm
can't.
saying, like, if we are playing upstream, that clockwise has to be the Brick Gardener.
Yeah, I
Because
think
that's the
so.
only other worthy target to be able to find, right?
I feel like I'd be happy to just get rid of the upstream.
And then play 2 clock.
Yeah, 2 clock, or even honestly, even Selfish Engravers as like a second copy might not be the end of the world.
Yeah, but I guess it depends on how much soul this deck generates. I think that's
Realistically thinking, it's 0, 2, and so 0 and 2 because the 2 soul blasts, you're 1 out, and then
so when
the
you
Radland doesn't soul
three,
charge.
you always have 3 soul. On stride will be 4. 4 take 1 is 3. So you always have to find your Daifudol grade 2.
And you'll basically always have to like showered applause loop. Like showered applause is like so important actually.
Yeah, yeah. I think the role of showered applause is really good.
So it's like even more reason for Forbidol to be like a super must.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
And I guess like playing 3 is fine. 4 I think is too much.
There is one awkwardness with Tog in this deck, is that Lukier chucks this from hand and immediately procs it in main phase, whereas Harry doesn't really have a way to like put it to soul before battle phase. To give it randomly soul charge it, great.
Right?
What?
Paratrooper.
Yeah, I guess Paratrooper is your way to do it. I guess also if you... Oh, it doesn't have to be put from rear, so if you put it from the top 5s.
And you guard with it right, showered applause can proc it.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. So you actually have a lot of ways to put it in.
Yeah.
Which is fine. Are we thinking clockwise is too much if we're playing discard? Oh, I guess like the jet decks play but they play Folklore too. Yeah.
And you are usually electing to go second, right?
Yes.
So you do have the extra energy.
Yeah, if you're going second, then you get 3 energies straight off the bat. So I think it's pretty good.
Is Forbidol really that necessary with the chance of both grade 3 and souls high? You don't soul charge it as much as you think.
Yeah, you don't. But even if it's in soul, deck compressing 2 is like really good.
Yeah.
I think that's
it's just like
good.
There is also a world where, because this deck does 4 attacks regardless, there is a world where you just actually go into Lunatech twice just for deck thin, and then you're like very compressed for your Harry turns.
So I guess one question to ask is how conservative does this deck play? So you get 1 unit of Harry, and then you have to commit a unit, which is 1. So I guess it refunds the crest, and you get like what, 4 attacks, maybe. I guess depends on like how good your top 7 search is for the ride line. If it's like one of the 2 combo pieces, like Princess Manticore, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Oh, I actually no, it's actually free because Harry calls 1, Lunatech calls 1. So you actually don't spend any cards in hand, which is pretty.
For your attackers, yeah.
Yeah. So as long as this deck uses nothing as the early game goes, then you'll get to a point where like you just chain Harry Strides and then your opponent's just dead because they don't have.
And I think early game you can just bash down the doll pretty like without much restraint, because her only role is to be called from hand, and like she's from hand.
Correct.
Yeah, her only role is to be called from hand and
just chuck it down.
And then she works off guarding, so it's like she'll build soul too.
And if your opponent damage denies you, then your Lunatech's free. Like it's just free. That like what 3 attacks bash, and you're not taking damage. So meaning that you get through another turn.
It's like if they don't give you CB, that means you got a free turn to just like farm with the crest, deck thin, and then make your late game even scarier. So the only issue is like if you deck out, but then you just stop random soul charging.
Yeah, and
the only issue is I guess Harry's effect.
I think the deck is pretty alright. Like I think I would have to play this deck and see like what cards are completely useless. I'm still a bit iffy on the clockwise, but I think it's better in application than face value.
I've played against Jet in tournament that literally spammed clockwise every turn, and his hand just did not go down, and that was very
That's what
annoying.
you want, really. Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially if you're like pairing it with Manticore, like you get a multi-attack extender and draw one, like it's too good. Free stride, literally everything. It's like pretty much playing Vanguard.
True, if you don't have Stride Fodder, if you've scaled long enough and you don't have CB, Harry's GB2 does just call a thing.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah. And then the crest just overpowers everything. So it's like what? 4 attacks? Still? Yeah.
Can't you call Manticore first? Let me check. Manticore is a battle phase, you haven't called anything. Yeah, you could like swing Manticore first, call something if you do have the 1 CB, but then like find a Stride Fodder, let's say.
Yes.
So you like paratroopered into a Manticore swing, then Harry swing, so you can still do like 5 attacks without striding.
Yeah.
That's pretty good too.
Nuts. Yeah.
The plus 3k is also very legit because you give the plus 3k to the dark side, and now she's swinging like she's hitting magic numbers on boosted.
38, 48, later in the game.
That's one thing I realized with Night Rose too, is that Night Rose gives plus 2, so if you call grade 3 from her stride skill, then she makes, the thing becomes like, multiples of 5, so you just put a grade 1 behind it and still hits for good numbers too.
Yep.
Yeah, so like, this is starting to take shape. Again, I guess the same as with like when we built with Solemn, where it's like the deck it's like there were still like unclear parts, but of course this is also a unreleased the product is unreleased kind of like deck building. But I do think there are like some less moving parts. I can see Showered Applause maybe going up in counts. I could see Manticore being at 4. I think the doll is pretty good for early game. I could see her being taken out, but I feel like she's very good for early. And also like she's a good card to commit when you like, let's say if you use Stride Skill, call something, and then you don't have another attacker like that other than the one you called from Harry's Stride Skill. So then on your actual like Harry Stride turn. So then she's good just because, you just chuck, because Harry Stride Skill chucks 2 into soul, right?
Yes, that's correct.
So she's also a good card to just throw into the soul, I think.
Yep. And I think overall, like if you're looking at the deck now, the Togue, if it's not good enough as a slot to be able to find stuff, then you can take that out. +1 Manticore, +1 Shout Applause. Selfish Engraver, I think, is just a nice one of its tutorable in the later game, which is where I think the Engraver shines. Yeah, it's not the early game, so having it at 1 is fine.
Easy early game bash, I think too. Where it's like you can just throw her down, even if she gets taken out. You just Shower Applause her back in and then call her out once she's live.
Correct. Yeah, and then just having an on-hit Soul Charge 1 is great. Right? Yeah.
4 Princess sounds unnecessary. She's your best attacker, like by far.
Yeah, like 4 Dark Side Princess is pretty insane.
Yeah,
just being able to see it, and the deck itself doesn't actually Soul Charge much. But I guess like if you're playing 4 of the Dieful Doll, then you may find you can drop Dark Side by 1 and then have that 1 slot for something else.
Yeah, I suppose. But I really don't mind her being like a consistency piece, just because like her, like especially when you think about like your optimal turns are going to be, you go Lunatech, you call Manticore. Manticore swings, calls the Dark Side. The Dark Side is now 25, you throw whatever 8k boost behind her, usually going to be the Paratrooper, and then you have yourself magic numbers, right? So it's like she makes the scaling the best. The only cards in this deck that gain power on their own are Darkside Princess and Showered Applause, nothing else. And I feel like you really, really need to have good, strong attackers to call from your Harry Stride especially.
Yeah. And one thing that this deck does that no other deck does in terms of Stride decks is that if you put Dark Side on one side and you pop a booster behind it, 33, right? If you somehow just like randomly hit 2 triggers, making that 53 is practically unguardable against a deck that has an farm advantage. So you pretty much just push your opponent straight to 5. Like,
that's true.
Without doing anything. Yeah, it's just too good.
Yeah, on first stride especially, she's very valuable. So
yeah,
the general game plan of this deck will be like turn 1. Like I guess the only thing is that you don't have that same sort of like turn 1 going second tri-lane big swing that like Night Rose can easily do. So you're definitely, but I guess the crest immediately kind of already told you, it's like, hey, you're going to be playing the long game, you can farm a lot. So it's like, turn 1 is going to be maybe a little bit weak, and if you're going second, you're dealing with Shoujo's turn 2, which is pretty explosive usually. But I guess if they give you a bunch of CB, then you're going to just use that CB.
Yeah, you're pretty much never like caring about any of your CC engine, and you're pretty much just bashing their face anyways. But I think like if this deck applies the same as previous Harri does, then it's just farming and grinding through turns. Like the longer the game goes, like the better the deck gets.
Yeah, I do think, especially with the crest scaling, that's like even easier to do.
One other consideration, I guess, would be like not playing the Intersoul crit and replacing it just with vanilla crits.
Or just for numbers?
Yeah, just for numbers, really.
Since the only soul requirement card we have is Selfish Engraver.
Yeah, and then by then you have like a stack soul anyways.
Yeah, so I guess you could just play vanilla crits.
I mean, sometimes you just like place it down, right? And then Harri gives it +3 from soul. If your soul is like dog water, then it's like 8+ however many face up G-zone. But man, if you live that long for you to call a crit, it's like
bash for game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know who you're versing, man.
yeah. I mean, sometimes,
or maybe you get like a 6 damage OT or something, and then you're
yeah.
sucks. I don't know.
It'll happen. It'll happen. Definitely does happen.
Yeah, it does.
Okay,
but yeah, I think like the overall structure is there. I think you play the deck and see where you can cut stuff. So like if you're playing and you see cards pop up too frequently, then like off your soul charges, off your draws, then you can cut down like I said before, 1 dark side for something else, 1 dark side for Togue maybe.
Over Togue.
No, just like you free up that 1 slot for something else. If you see it too often. Yeah. Which is why like I think in a toolboxy deck like this, 3 is a nice number because you have ways to top deck search. So your Daifudol, Togue finds your stuff, Forbidol. If you draw Forbidol, you pretty much win. Discard digs through your deck. Like if you see a card too much in testing, just take out 1 and then
that's true.
The rest.
That's a good point. Yeah, I think that's a pretty all right starting point. So
yes,
I think we've.
And I think like as WGP the next season rolls around, we'll probably see more development on this deck. I think this deck has insane potential.
Yeah, I mean, we have there's an ultimate literally the Saturday after this comes out, so I think that on its own will already be giving us that first sort of look into the post new Stride Deckset meta. But I think the general consensus is like these two are definitely not Shiranui levels. Like neither of the two, I guess. It's just they're both very. I think they're gonna be strong decks, and at the end of the day, they're also like 2 big fan favorites that
Yeah. Well,
we also have a WGP Malaysia.
Rose, right?
Sorry?
The field would be Night Rose because it's like fan favorite for like the first week, and they just watch it.
I definitely think so. Yeah, I'm also glad these two are not Jet Shiranui level. And I mean, makes sense, I guess. They were. I mean, Night Rose was like BDIF for a very long time. So
yeah, back in the old days.
It's like maybe for longer than. I guess no. Jet was also BDIF a few times, but with like different archetypes. Nocturgia, we talked about Nocturgia before. We actually had it in, but we cut it down.
Yeah, I think the Nocturgia slot is just ideally better in like as a TIS card to be able to draw stuff because your Shadow Claws already gets soul that you want.
All right, then this will be our day -1. Oh no, failed to create draft. Oh no, it doesn't really make a...
Not like this. That's right. I remember the deck. I'll post it on Twitter for you.
It's okay now. It saved.
Oh, it's immortalized.
I forgot to have G-Zone. Oops. Let me make a G-Zone. There you go. Now it's corrected to G-Zone. All right, yeah. It'll be interesting to see the first weekend, like how the results kind of pace out. But I think it'll be interesting to try out. I think one personal challenge I want to do is like maybe try to like take the unmodded Stride decks to like a locals or something and see how far it goes and just like make a video out of that or something.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah, especially I think like because these decks they have the press scaling buff that gives them the edge. that I feel like could give it potential. But pretty exciting stuff. Like I think both decks are quite cool.
These decks are like toolboxy, so deck builds can vary a lot.
For sure.
Yeah.
What's the code? 6VDWL, if you'd like to.
I'm gonna load that up on my screen as well.
We actually have a lot of events. We have WGB Malaysia, then the week after will be Singapore. I'm going to restream that. And then the week after that is Kyoto, which I'm going to be going to, so. But
yeah, I think
Kyoto,
I heard from the Malaysian gang that the dates for Singapore Season 3 is around the same time as well.
Yeah, Singapore is the 14th.
Yeah.
Singapore mentioned, Malaysia mentioned.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I'm actually quite impressed. Like the new Direful Doll actually turned out to be better than expected. It's actually like almost everything, literally just this random grade 1 is the only thing not being played from all the new cards.
Yeah. But when I saw that grade 2, I was like, oh, this card seems busted. But then it was like played from hand. I'm like, oh, kind of average. But then it just got like drastically better.
Yeah, it's just like an early game piece.
Yeah, but even if you play it on like Lunatech, right? You just play it first, fish for stuff. Lunatech then calls Paratrooper then replaces that card for like Darkside Princess. Feels pretty good.
Yeah.
Genie's
replacement for this girl.
Yeah. One thing I can kind of see being a minor problem with this deck is that if you're versing like control decks and they just board wipe you, then sometimes getting an optimal board with like Paratrooper with the cards in your hand is like not great. Because sometimes you want to call Paratrooper to put like a random back row booster and then call out something nice from your soul. But
don't just Magi everything back anyway?
Yeah, but only certain stuff, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I can see Prison matchup being surprisingly awkward.
Yeah, like, but Prison is actually not bad, because you just take 2 from soul, take 2 from hand, and you always clear your board, which is fine. Yeah. And you're always expending like your soul to empty the Prison anyways, and then it goes back into soul. So the power scaling for Prison just dips.
Yeah. Derek, any last thoughts before I let you go?
I don't know if I am getting the JP deck set, so maybe I'll play around with this list and then cook something up, and then I don't know. We usually have like future set locals here, so like we don't usually play set 3. We play set 4, set 5 when it comes out, obviously, and then Stride Deckset stuff. So yeah, we'll play around with this deck and then see how it goes.
Yep. All right, looking forward to it. And where can people find you for those kind of thoughts and results?
Mainly on Twitter or X, at the Derek Dow. Yeah, I'll share it in the chat.
And then YouTube as well, I guess.
Yes.
Will you make any videos like early about this?
Probably. I probably will recover this particular list, and I guess kind of talk my thoughts on the deck and I guess the deck set itself. So yeah, probably look at that in the next couple of days or so. I probably will release one now that the whole deck set's out.
Yeah, right. So it's good opportunity to talk about it. All right. Well, I thank you very much for hopping on at this late hour after work and everything. So
it's 10 p.m. But thanks for having me.
I guess it's not too late for you, but still, appreciate you. I've had you here for like an hour.
Yeah. All right. Peace out.
You take care. I'll talk to you later.
Bye.
Peace.